Alright, what's up guys? Penguin Overlord here, and in today's video we're going to begin the first of my dedicated weapon setup videos. Weapon setup and employment videos, and in this video we are going to talk about assault rifles. Now, this is largely, let me just load this up. We've got the HK416 here just to use it as an example, and I reverted it back to its default parts. That way we can go over each part set up the way that I prefer to run my assault rifles. Now, what you need to understand is when you set up a gun for Ghost Recon Wildlands, you need to ask yourself how you're going to employ it. Like, what purpose is it going to have for your mission, and what parts are going to best work for that. So, for what I want to do with this assault rifle is it's the gun that I want to turn to. Again, we're talking main campaign, not ghost mode. I want it to be the gun that I pull out when things go wrong, when stealth has been blown and enemies are coming and I need to take out a bunch of them really quickly. This is not how I would set up an assault rifle to do this. Again, just I reverted back to its default parts. So, obviously the buttstock, that's usually not a factor. Let's go to scope first, because with an assault rifle, I ideally want to engage between 0 and 200 meters. I can shoot up to 250, maybe 300 if I really know my holdovers, but that's generally not what I prefer to use an assault rifle for. If I'm going to shoot that far, I've got usually a semi-auto sniper that can hit much better at that distance. If you know your holdovers, hey, great, knock yourself out, but I'm not that good at that distance with an assault rifle. So 0 to 200, that's generally what I prefer. So for the sight that I need to support that kind of shooting is the digital scope. Now, you can use the other red dots and magnifiers, but I like the digital scope because it's going to help me when I run a grenade launcher, and we'll get to that in a bit. But with this digital scope, I've got my close-in sight, which is going to be used for CQB and stuff, and if I need to see better at distance, which is what magnified optics do, I can just hit that magnification and I can see farther, and that will allow me to hit enemies more accurately and kill Unidad choppers.
Kilo's finished.
Rather rude
Good shooting. Let's clean up and move on.
of you to interrupt my video. Of course, I probably could have picked a better spot than this, but that's what I need. I need, that higher magnification, so that way I can see enemies better at distance and hit them better, and also if at a reasonably close distance, like maybe 50 to 70 yards or so, I need to make a more precise shot. I like having that extra magnification so that way I can see it better and make my hit. So that's one of the reasons why I love the digital scope, and having magnification in general on your assault rifle. I don't have a purpose for the regular red dots at all, because even with the PKAS and the Comp M4, because yeah, they give you better stats, but it doesn't make that much of a difference in gameplay. I'd rather have that extra magnification. So let's see, trigger, whatever, full auto semi, that's what I usually use. Even if I have like a choice, that's generally what I'm going to use, because if I need semi, I can pick that, but I never need burst fire ever, because I can burst out with full auto. So I usually need one or the other, not a weird mix of the two with burst fire. Magazine size. Let's talk about that. 20 is not enough. I mean, you can make it do in the beginning of the game, but I really like having more rounds in my magazine. You can go with 50. It makes the magazine a little big if your assault rifle has a PMag, but I don't know. Pick whatever you like. I generally like 30. That's a nice round number for it. Now, underbarrel, the vast majority of time, I'm going to run a grenade launcher, because in this game, you have to deal with a lot of incoming enemy vehicles should things go wrong and things go loud. Helicopters, like you just saw. Incoming reinforcements. A grenade launcher is practically a must-have if you're going to be working in a squad, or definitely in Ghost Mode's a must-have. But it has so much utility that if you're running an assault rifle, you basically have to have this unless you have a very good reason why not. And there's two reasons why I think you shouldn't have a grenade launcher on your assault rifle. One, if you're running the Mark 17. Let me go find that real quick. I think it's up here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I've got the Mark 17, actually not in my usual setup. Maybe in another video I'll talk about that. But I have a V4 grip on that, which is basically what I run most of the time, pretty much all of the time when I'm not running a grenade launcher. Because if you run a grenade launcher, even when this weapon is all nice and short with the short barrel and like a digital scope and a laser sight, if you have those attachments on there, it still handles really slowly with a grenade launcher. The reload takes too long. It's just not really ideal for that assault rifle. So for the Mark 17, I'll use a V4 grip. And it's one reason why, even though I kind of like playing it with time to time, I don't generally use it a whole lot, because that grenade launcher is just really useful. The other exception to that, the other situation where I'd use a vertical grip instead of a grenade launcher is Predator, because you're not really going to be using the grenade launcher in that mission. There's really no point. You're just going to be shooting and hoping you hit their target with the Predator. You need a light and fast weapon in that mission. So the grenade launcher gives you, it doesn't really take out your handling as much. You still get decent speed, but in Predator, I want to be as fast as possible with my aiming speed. So I need a higher amount of handling than the grenade launcher gives me. So for that mission, I will use a V4 grip. For the game in general, I find that a grenade launcher does not slow me down that much. Not enough to make a huge difference in combat. Maybe if like a bunch of enemies were coming up with me and I was had to quickly scope in different directions, okay, then maybe a V4 grip would be useful, but I just don't. If you plan tactically, you shouldn't really have to come up with that sort of situation. Now, rail cover. Let's talk about it. So, I do not use assault rifles as a DMR because, truthfully, they usually don't do that great in that role. Plus, I want more magnification, so I generally do not use a rangefinder. Now, I know that some other people like Dark Dally. Actually, let me select so you can see it. I know some people like the rangefinder, like Dark Dally. He likes having this with like a short or standard barrel, especially with a short barrel, because then you make up that sort of bullet drop off at distance, and that's cool. More power to him. More power to you. Hey, this isn't the only. I don't think this is necessarily the only way to set up an assault rifle, but again, this is my preferred way to set up one. I generally don't have a use for this. If I need more accuracy at distance and less bullet drop, I'll pull out a sniper rifle, not an assault rifle. So that leaves me between the at-peel laser sight and the laser 3-dot. Supposedly, the laser 3-dot gives you a little extra accuracy and a little less handling loss than this sight. In practice, I have noticed zero difference in gameplay whatsoever. It's not a factor. That it hasn't slowed me down, it hasn't made me less accurate that I could notice. Now, maybe there's a slight difference, but I just haven't seen it. So I like this because it's a more sort of military piece of equipment. With the laser dot, I don't know, it just seems kind of dumb. Plus, with the laser sight, I can, let me hit my nods up real quick. I can, well, you can't see it because it's daytime, but I can actually aim with this in multiplayer, and that uses that to communicate with people, which I generally do a whole lot of multiplayer these days, but maybe in the future I will. But this is a useful feature to have. You can point out different enemies and stuff like that. It's just a good communication tool. So I like having that on my assault rifle. Now, let's actually, let me flip that off and go back to the menu. So for the barrel, I generally like a standard barrel. Sometimes I will use a short barrel when I need that extra handling speed, like with Predator. Sometimes with the Rainbow Six mission, where you're mainly working in CQB when you're taking that Chemical Institute. Which I kind of like having that. But for the most part, I kind of like the standard barrel because it gives me a good compromise between the short barrel and long barrel, between bullet drop and recoil control. Because the shorter your barrel, the less vertical recoil climb you'll have. And this is something other people have covered, so I won't go too into depth with that. Just watch Dark Dahlia's video on recoil control, and that will basically give you a solid idea of how it works in this game. So either the standard barrel or the short barrel. Again, not a fan of the long barrel. You can, I guess, kind of make it work. Like, the handling's not too bad with this, but I just don't prefer it. It gives you more recoil for not a whole lot of benefit. Let me hit the standard barrel. A little faster. Aim down sight time. Short barrel. Even faster. But, again, no point to the long barrel because I don't use assault rifles as DMRs, and I don't think that's a good use for an assault rifle. Yeah, you'll have more ammo than a semi-auto sniper, but with the semi-auto snipers, you shouldn't really need a whole lot of ammo in that capacity. I guess you could make a case, hey, I want to use a DMR for ghost mode, but the semi-autos don't give you enough ammo. Okay, I can kind of see your point, but main campaign, just no. Just don't use the long barrel. It doesn't really give you anything which would help you in an assault rifle sort of role. So, generally, standard barrel's the way to go. Or short. Pick your poison. Now, muzzle devices, I used to not like the suppressor on an assault rifle because, hey, it drops your handling, right? And gives you less accuracy compared to a Comp V2. Now, unless, of course, the caveat is, if you're going to have one gun and run one long gun, which in Ghost mode now you can, yeah, a suppressor makes a huge amount of sense for an assault rifle. But you're still going to have to be careful when using it in close quarters, because then the shot may get people suspected, so you'd want to use a pistol in close quarters. A suppressed pistol, excuse me. But this does work okay. Works better than I once thought and once really admitted. But for what I need to do with an assault rifle, the vast majority of the time, I'm going to need a Comp V2. Just to give me that extra recoil control, better accuracy, so that way all the bullets don't deviate horizontally that much, and it gives me a small handling boost, which is nice considering I'm running a grenade launcher, a laser, and well, actually, I don't think this optic, the digital scope, gives you that much of a handling loss compared to iron sights. No, it really doesn't, which, I don't know, in real life it's a little bit heavier than, like, say, the T1, but it's got the same handling. That's Ubisoft for you. But anyway, there it is. That's generally how I will set up the vast majority of my assault rifles right here. Again, digital scope for variable magnification, 30-round mag, M203 grenade launcher, or whatever grenade launcher is on there. The only thing I will say is, I don't like this grenade launcher. It's ugly. Just, I understand in real life it's got improvements over the M203, but it just looks ugly. So I prefer this more streamlined, compact look. Sorry, got a little bit on a tangent there. At-peel laser sight for the reasons I discussed, standard barrel or short if I need that extra handling boost. And the other thing with the short barrel is it'll do a little, I think it does a little bit less damage, so it's going to take more shots to take down an enemy. So again, another reason why I like the standard. And finally, Comp V2. That is my preferred method to set up an assault rifle for what I need to do with it in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, obviously, there's a million different ways you could set up an assault rifle, and that's fine. Just to make sure it works optimally for what you need to do with that assault rifle. For me, I need to be able to take out vehicles, which is another reason why I like the digital scope, because I can quasi-range with it compared to the red dots with magnifiers. It's not going to be perfect because the zoomed in part of the digital scope varies from assault rifle to assault rifle, so you kind of have to adjust anyway, but it gives me some sort of idea of where I need to hold it as compared to, like, say, for instance, I should have talked about this earlier and organized it more, but say compared with this, with the T1 and magnifier, which is actually, this is not that great on that assault rifle, probably because it's really far forward. Do you see that? Ubisoft fix this, please. Yeah, but if I like try to hit that chopper over there with it, it's not really gonna work as well as the digital scope, at least in my gameplay for what I have seen. And since it's here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Nope, miss.
Unidad chopper, stay low.
There we go. Man, I just suck today.
Get down. Why did you shoot a civilian?
Well, I didn't mean to shoot a civilian. Alright, this
We good?
video...
Shit got close for a second there.
Okay, this video's gone on long enough. It's 16 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, this is my preferred way that I set up an assault rifle for the reasons that I need to employ an assault rifle for. So, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more weapon employment videos, which I plan to do, go ahead, leave a comment, subscribe, like, do all those good things. Let me know how you like to set up an assault rifle in the comments and what you'd like to use assault rifles for in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Anyway, I'm Penguin Overlord. I will see you all next time.